The Connection Show. Inspiring hope. Health. Healing. Sponsored by Braveheart Workshops. Live with Jill Reynolds. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like our page. Share it. Subscribe to it now and click the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming shows.
The Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And we are coming live from the ReAwaken America Conference in Virginia Beach. And at Virginia Beach, I just ran into the most amazing woman, Sabrina Barnett. Welcome to the show, Sabrina.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's so nice to be here and to have your audience listen to anything that comes through us together in this program.
Thank you so much. So, audience, what we love to do on the Connection Show, we believe that when Jesus walked the face of the earth, he loved to share stories, accounts, and parables for the purpose of transforming other people's lives. So, Sabrina, would you take us on a journey into the childhood of little Sabrina and share with the audience good times in your childhood, some hardships, painful things you went through, and how all of that led you to the amazing woman you've become today, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you so much, and thank you to anyone out there listening. I believe as a child, I always felt that we lived in such a pure and beautiful world, and I felt very strongly with that in my heart. And having said that, I went to elementary school, and I have brown skin. I'm Native American. At the time, I didn't know. I just all believed that everybody was one color, and acceptance was a part of my loving background. I was raised by a single mother, so I understood the power of being able to have a woman raise two children on her own, especially when she comes from a third world country. We were born in Haiti. So there was a lot of obstacles in my childhood that at the time I didn't realize I had to overcome. So for anybody out there that has obstacles and that has dealt with obstacles since their childhood, I'm asking you now to leave that in the past, because the past is not the now, and the power that we have is in the now. And so as I've grown through my childhood and through the obstacles, one of the things that I have as a takeaway is the fact that living with that pain only caused more drama and more pain. And I wrote a song later in life called Breathe Again. You can cause your own drama, you can cause your own pain, and only you can allow yourself to breathe again through your spiritual growth, through your spiritual knowing, and through the love of Jesus in your heart. So that is really important to me.
Wow, well, that's beautiful. And you know, Sabrina, I really believe that burdens on, when you look at burdens in life like you had, and then we all have burdens.
Sure,
you know,
do, yes.
From the moment we're born,
Yes.
and we're in the womb, a burden develops the moment the baby comes out of the womb, and they cut the umbilical cord, and they have to take that first breath of life.
Right.
And what people don't even understand is burdens come in instantaneously when that doctor maybe slaps the baby on the back and the baby starts crying, going, that just hurt.
Right.
And then
It's a shock.
the burden of abandonment being cut away from the mother.
Yes.
So burdens, I look at burdens in a sense as strength and blessings, not
Yes.
as negativity.
Yes.
Because you can take that burden and then you can find healing in it.
That's
And
right.
blessings can flow. So if you go back a moment, can you recall growing up in that environment? What word of a burden comes to mind for you as that little girl that you think came into your being?
Sure. I think judgment. Judgment is a really big one for me, and it actually controlled my life for a very long time. From being a little girl, I remember wearing white pants to elementary school, and they said that I was not a virgin, that I was a whore. And imagine being a little girl and being a sweet little girl. I had a hard time, especially with the girls in school. But, you know, the Lord has beautiful opportunities for all of us through our burdens, through our challenges, through the judgments that people have of you and of me as a child. My way of being able to strengthen myself, like Jill says, through your burdens you can create strength. Through your obstacles you can find a way to see it, the perception to see it with strength, is I went to animals. I love horses. As a little girl, as an 8-year-old little girl, horses are just so clean and so pure. If they don't like you, they'll kick you, which I've been kicked, bit, bucked. I've really gotten hurt on a horse. But again, through your deepest pain comes your greatest growth, right? So horses was always a passion for me, and I became later on in life an equine healer, so I do a lot of equine therapy for people, and I became a polo player. I thought, well, let's play a game with a horse. What kind of game can you play with a horse? Well, polo. Well, I found out that an insurance company won't even insure you because it's such a darn dangerous
The connection. Well, and you know, and horses are intuitive.
Yes.
They
yes.
know. I mean, I've really, I did a leadership conference at a horse equine place in Montana, and the girl is trained in Habit Finder, and the minute I got on the property, I got a phone call that my dad had been rushed to the hospital and they didn't know if he was going to live. Well, when I'd walk into the barn for horses, the one horse king, the second I walked in, he picked up my grief, and he would come up to the front of the stable and go like this, and I would start to cry, and he would like be empathetic with me as they cry, and then he'd pull back, and then he'd come forward.
Yes.
He kept doing this
Yes.
for about 30 minutes. They're so intuitive.
They really are intuitive, and they're actually so intuitive that they can feel your pain, but they can also feel your physical imbalances, like dogs. You know how dogs they're trained to smell your physical imbalances. If you have a tumor, many a times a dog can actually feel that. Well, horses are like that as well. And the other day we were doing a photo shoot. I rescue horses, and I have a horse that I actually rescued in Missouri at a kill pen, which I know you're from Missouri.
Yeah.
And the horse turned out to be a stallion. And so the message here is, people are so afraid of stallions in the horse world, and I teach people that it's not the horse, it's the way that you express yourself to this noble animal. And so the message again inside horse equine therapy is, you take a 1,200-pound animal that could easily kill you if it wanted to, and if you share love and if you trust it, they can smell fear. And fear is not love, it's a polar opposite. So the beautiful thing, Jill, is the lesson that I learned as a little girl, going back to your other question, is how to really take that judgment and work through it and find a way to be able to find your healing through that pain and create your greatest growth. And for me, it was through horses.
Well, I won't do it while we're on the video, but we'll do it when we end. So the one thing that I think is so cool about burden release work is you can take judgment, audience, and you can close your eyes and say, judgment, I see you. Thank you for coming into my life for the purpose you served. And say, I'd like you to be taken back, judgment, to my mother. And mother, the judgment you received, I want to take it back to my grandmother. And grandmother, I'd like to take judgment back to my great-grandmother, because there's the 4 generational wounds. And so once we do that then, in which I'll show you off air, Sabrina, is I always Google then, what's the opposite of judgment? And God always gives you that word. And then I take that word and I bring blessings into each generation, to generations to come. So I heard you, Sabrina, as you spoke about your childhood. I heard judgment, but I also heard this part called not good enough, like the kids making fun of you and saying things about you, and maybe even the burden of lies. the lies.
Yes, Jill. And I think that for me was a huge part of my childhood is not because I'm not good enough, but because I was told I wasn't good enough. And
Yes.
I believed the lies that were told to me that I wasn't good enough, that I had brown skin, that my hair was so long that I looked like a character when I was a little girl on television called Cousin It. I don't know if any of your viewers might know about this character.
From Addams Family.
Yes, exactly. And so those types of things stayed with me, and it actually, I allowed it to hold me back from feeling that I am good enough, as so are any of us and anyone listening. You are good enough. If anybody, including yourself, sometimes our worst enemy breathes within here, okay, ear to ear. And so we just have to suck all that darkness and all that negative conversation out, because it's not hurting us, it's hurting us on a cellular level, right? So, a lot of times when people spew that kind of information out that's negative, it's hurting us on a cellular level. So if you have any negativity that you are spewing to yourself, know that is something that's actually physically harming you, and how powerful it is for you to understand that, so that you can really want to work with somebody like Jill to get that out.
Or work
so
with Sabrina.
vital.
So I want to pause for just a moment, Sabrina. And audience, this is Sabrina's bio. And it's also got her Facebook page. She's redoing her website right now where you can reach out to her. So as Sabrina just got done saying about how to transform her life and what worked for her, Sabrina, share with the audience, because when they read your bio, it's amazing. Share with the audience some of the things you've been able to accomplish as a result of this amazing transformation God's done in your life.
Well, thank you. Again, talking about not feeling that you're good enough, I had an aha moment where I realized that I was my own worst enemy. And I turned out to, interestingly enough, my path at the age of 13, somebody thought that I was good enough, and they said, well, we'd like to have you as a model. And I thought, a model? Me? Why would somebody want to have me be a model? And I ended up saying yes, obviously with my mother's blessings, I should say. And they took me to Italy. Mind you, I was 13. And the agent had dinner with my mother the night before and said, don't worry, I will take care of your daughter as if she's my own. Well, about 3 days later, I was on a plane, and I went to Rome, and he picked me up in a car that the doors open up like wings. I'd never seen anything like that. I'm a simpleton. I'm a friggin' native, and from humble, simple beginnings. And I find myself in Rome doing the high fashion shows at the Rome steps of La Piazza di Spagna, they're called. And he wanted to sleep with me that night. And this is a man that just had promised my mother
he'd take care of you.
That he would take care of me.
As he's grooming you.
Exactly. So not to turn this into a dark interview, but it's realistic. There is a lot of that going on in the world that I grew up in, which is the modeling world, very fast-paced. I've lived in 7 countries. I've ended up having a clothing line empowering women to say that I am unique, I make a difference, I am enough. I admire myself, not from an egotistical standpoint, but from a loving standpoint, because you can't love somebody else in the fullness of the being of love until you learn to accept and love yourself. And any judgment that comes, Jill, is something that should be eradicated from our essence of whatever it is that somebody is saying to us, whichever way they choose to judge us, including ourselves. Like I said, we can be our worst enemies, right?
Now, to pause for a moment and go back to that night, were you able then to escape this man who had you all the way into a whole other country?
Right.
Or did he empower you, take over yourself, disempower you?
Great
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
So And this is I think, a very, very powerful story because, like you said, I was in a completely new country. I was a little girl, and he is my agent, so I'm looking forward to him. Like I could have easily taken it as the casting couch, right? But what happened was when I realized that I was in one hotel room with him, I looked at him, and I looked him deeply in the eyes as a 13-year-old little girl, and I said to him, "You looked at my mom, and you said that you would protect me as if I was your daughter. Please be a man of your word." And again, that comes from my mother giving me strong morals of respecting your temple, honoring yourself. Even though the school and the little girls in school would speak poorly about me, call me Brownie and Cousin It and all that, I did have that foundation, and I believe that powerful foundation is what saved me from being raped that night.
And he did honor it?
He looked at me, Jill, he looked at me in the eyes, and he said to me, and he just walked away.
And he still allowed you to model?
He still allowed me to model. Of course, I didn't become a household name.
but
there is a lot of truth to that, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, you sleep with them,
Piper.
and they move you to the top until they don't need you anymore, and then they spit you out.
That's right.
They spit you right to the curb.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. God gave you strength and courage to say your truth, and your truth set you free from being sexually abused. So
I just got the chills hearing you say that.
The Holy Spirit took over for you. Yeah. So to close out here, Sabrina, so you were a professional model.
Yes.
Then you started and created. Created, and she still could be. The woman's got an amazing, beautiful body, but more so, her soul is phenomenal. Because our body is just our body that passes, but the soul is what's more important. And so, you created your own fashion line, and then share with us. You are a professional singer and a songwriter.
Yes. So song has always been a universal language for me. You can go to China and sing a song and people will bop and they'll move to the music. So for me, that's expression, and expression is language, right? So it's universal language. And so I felt that writing the music in a frequency of 528, if none of your viewers or some of your viewers might know, it's a great frequency, and it's the harmony. Being Native American, we believe that we must live with the land and not steal or rape the land. And so the frequency of nature harmonically is at 528. And so I started writing music. Once I understood this, been very blessed, I must say, to work with Native American elders, medicine men and women, from the rainforest to Africa to China to the Native American reservations, which I've toured for quite some time now. And so they taught me some beautiful things, and one of them is the power of frequency and harmony and balance with nature. So singing and songwriting is so important to me from that aspect. But it's not just singing and songwriting. I believe that all of us have the ability to do whatever we want to do with our lives. We're the only ones that hold us back, and I believe that the world that we live in is a box. And if we can actually step outside of the box, then we can actually begin to truly live our expansion and be the people that we are destined to be.
And I want to encourage you listening to step out of the box for a moment, because I myself love Jesus with all my heart, and I know Sabrina does too. So I'm going to ask you right now if you'd be willing to step out of the box of religiosity and understand that the giftedness that a Native American has been given is not New Age. A Native American like Sabrina, who has heard the voice of God and been shown the vibrations of sound, has been gifted as a Christian woman. And so if any of you are listening and your antennas go out and go, oh, Native American sounds, nature, she's got to be New Age, cast that aside, because I think that's Satan trying to take you away from the beauty of Sabrina's heart and soul and the song that God's given her. So think for a moment. What comes to me on nature, Sabrina, is I have such a connection with birds.
Oh, nice.
And as a little girl, I could never figure out how. Do you know how to whistle? Do you know how to whistle?
No, not very well.
And so just try your whistle, the one you know. Okay, so that's her whistle, and I could never figure out how to do a traditional whistle. This is the whistle God gave me. It's a bird whistle. It's a bird call whistle. And so when I'm outside in nature, I love to look at the birds and call the birds with the whistle. And they come and they fly over me. Yes. And eagles soar down. And I've had seagulls line up on a pier and listen to the whistle and almost go into a meditative state. So sound in nature is a God-given sound. Yes. If God didn't want us to have sound in nature, why would he have given us the whistle of the bird?
Right.
And so, Christians, please take note of that. And like Sabrina said, get out of the box that locks you in. Right. So I needed to pause and say that because I do know there are very judgmental. The judgment. Yes, see, the judgment part comes in.
And it's really interesting because when you talk about that, and thank you so much, Jill, for pointing that out, because I am around a lot of religious people, and I pass no judgment, but judgment is passed on me. Mm-hmm. I play not victim, but they try to disempower me. Mm-hmm. And I have the power of the Holy Spirit in me. Mm-hmm. And we believe in spirit. We believe in good. And what else is there but good? When you walk with the essence of Jesus, you walk with good, you walk with integrity, you walk with power, you walk with the knowing that you are here to help others and to heal not only yourself, because the only way you could truly be healing of anybody else is to heal yourself. And inside that space is where I breathe as a Native American woman. And a lot of times, I believe that there's so many different versions of Bibles and religions that it causes more wars than it does anything else for me. And I know that's a very harsh thing to say, but I'm just asking any listener out there to please understand that the most powerful thing that we can do as Christians is to believe that love and kindness and walking inside that space is all there really is.
Well, and honor people's heritage, too. This is a heritage that was God-given to Sabrina. So in closing, Sabrina, share why you're at the ReAwaken conference, because you have a new journey that God's given you and transformed in your life. So where's your new journey taking you?
So the new journey is taking me into Native wisdom. I have courses about healing, herbal healing. I have courses about being able to empower yourself through the good of self. And so I've been to a couple of ReAwaken America tours, and I really got connected with the truth that is abounding here. The Holy Spirit is here powerfully, and truth seekers are putting themselves out on the line to be able to share truth with you and get it out to as many people. So I decided about 5 days ago to have a channel called Native Wisdom. It's a new channel, but I believe it's guided by God. And I believe that I'm meant to meet people like beautiful Jill and the people that she has on her show, because God works in beautiful, mysterious ways. And to think that I just got my ticket, I have a backdrop, and last night we were setting up and Jill says to me, "Oh, do you need any help?" I had just met her, and she gave me tablecloths and tape and just extending her heart out. And so for me, being here is not just having a channel, but to just say to people, Native Americans, we are patriots. We believe in honesty. We believe in integrity, and we walk in truth. So I want to be, on behalf of many, many Native American people that I know, a patriot, and to say that we stand for freedom, we stand for integrity, we stand for honor. So we just opened up a show called Native Wisdom.
Awesome. And so now that you have met Sabrina today and have the bio that you'll see on the screen with the link, please connect to her, and we'll also put the link of her show in to the YouTube channel as well. So Sabrina, I know you've got to run and do your own interviews. We are so blessed you came over to our booth today, and we thank you so much for joining us on the Connection Show. Have a very blessed day, Sabrina.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jill. You too.
And we're going to break now before we close with one of our sponsors of our show, Holy Hydrogen. You've got to connect with this company for wellness in your life. Our bodies need hydrogen, so follow Holy Hydrogen and order now with Braveheart's code, Braveheart, to get $100 off.
Hydrogen is used by health professionals as a powerful antioxidant and the #1 tool to fight inflammation. Studies show therapeutic potential in cancer, diabetes, digestive, and heart issues, and essentially every organ and system in the body. This is not medical advice, because I'm not your doctor, but if you have any health concerns, I strongly recommend that you learn more about hydrogen. Get educated at holyhydrogen.com and order the best hydrogen generator known to man. Use code BRAVEHEART for $100 off your order. Because hydrogen is the smallest molecule in existence, it can pass through the cell membrane and even the blood-brain barrier to clear out inflammation and free radical damage where other antioxidants just can't get to. Visit holyhydrogen.com to see the latest technology that elevates your immune system and fights inflammation. Search their research library to see if hydrogen has a track record for helping a health concern you're dealing with. Make sure to use code BRAVEHEART for $100 off your order. Remember, holyhydrogen.com.
Thanks for joining us today on The Connection Show, where we bring you stories that will transform your life. The Connection Show would appreciate your support. Please go to either our Patreon page or our PayPal Me Now link today. We love our podcast show guests and appreciate our listeners and YouTube subscribers. Please go to our YouTube channel called The Connection Show and Braveheart Workshops and subscribe now. Remember to click the gray bell in the All tab so you don't miss any upcoming episodes.